Actress Christina Ricci is speaking out as to why it's a crime that Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis wrote this character letter for now convicted Danny Masterson.
I'm very straightforward and even blunt, and I don't worry about things like making everyone my friend so that everyone will be on my side all the time, and things like that.
So Hollywood was buzzing when Christina Rhode Island dropped some jaw-dropping news about Ashton Kutcher. Seriously, could Ashton be hiding more than just his public image? It's pretty ironic for him to be out there talking about helping victims of physical, mental, and sexual abuse, especially considering the unsettling details about Diddy's parties and how they connect to all the crazy controversies surrounding him lately. Just think about it, there was a call from the Department of Homeland Security revealing that a 7-year-old girl had been monitored for 3 years, with disturbing content floating around on the dark web, and they still hadn't tracked down the guy behind it. Since Diddy kicked off these wild parties filled with sketchy practices like pressuring young artists and men and women into non-consensual activities, Ashton was always right there in the thick of it. We've all seen it. His support for survivors of sexual assault while knowing what's going on behind the scenes at Diddy's parties feels incredibly hypocritical. Now, it looks like this whole front is starting to crumble, especially since the feds have dug up tons of tapes and evidence that involve some major A-list celebrities. This isn't just any party story. As we all know, Cher and Diddy have been friends for nearly 2 decades. In a 2019 episode of Hot Ones, Kutcher talked about how he helped Diddy cover up some pretty awful stuff, and he admitted he was part of the problem. When it comes to Diddy's party stories, they're a favorite kind of anecdote, and when asked to share one, Kutcher jokingly said, "Yeah, wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell, so I can't share that one either." Kutcher first got to know Diddy back when he was hosting MTV's Punk, which kicked off in 2002, at a time when Diddy was busy starring in Making the Band, another popular MTV show. It's interesting because just a month before Punk debuted, Kutcher and his then-girlfriend Brittany Murphy happened to sit next to Diddy at an NBA All-Star game. Their friendship took off quickly, and a few months later, they teamed up for the 2003 MTV Movie Awards, where they gave this long-winded intro about hot girls before handing the Best Villain award to Dee Chase, who was only 13 and famous for playing Samara Morgan in The Ring. Looking back, that part feels a bit unsettling, especially when Diddy invited Chase to an after-party right there on camera. These moments really showcase their friendship and some of the questionable choices they made back then. They were spotted together again in 2018 on The Late Late Show with James Corden, where Kutcher reminisced about their early friendship, saying, "We were spending a lot of time together, and by the way, if you're a single man, there's probably no better person in the world than him." You could see their chemistry as they laughed and swapped stories, even joking about Donald Trump crashing one of Diddy's parties. I totally get it, they go way back, and that connection is clear. Since then, there have been so many instances of Ashton and Diddy sharing laughs and compliments, showcasing their close bond. But ever since Diddy got arrested for sexual assault and faced a bunch of other disturbing allegations, Ashton has gone completely silent, almost like he wants to erase that once brotherly connection. And honestly, that's pretty concerning. A studio insider even said, "I don't even like him, he's like my coach." Given that Ashton has been a strong advocate for victims of child abuse and exploitation, his silence regarding Diddy's case raises serious eyebrows. What's even more troubling is that he stood up for his friend Danny Masterson when he faced similar accusations, even though there was a mountain of evidence against him. The fallout from that case made Ashton resign from his role at Thorn, the anti-sex trafficking tech company he co-founded. This whole situation really calls into question the integrity of his advocacy, casting a long shadow over his commitment to an issue he's been publicly championing for years. For some background, Danny Masterson was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison after being convicted on 2 counts of sexual assault. Instead of standing by the victims like Ashton had done previously, he and his wife, Mila Kunis, defended Danny, claiming he couldn't have committed those crimes because he had helped them with their substance abuse issues. This is where Christina Rhode Island stepped in. She didn't hold back, calling them out and stirring the pot even more. In a powerful and heartfelt social media post, she opened up about her regrets, saying, "I've known a lot of great guys who were kind to me, but later turned out to be toxic behind closed doors. She emphasized that sometimes the people we love and look up to can do terrible things. Just because they haven't hurt us directly doesn't mean those actions didn't happen, or that we should discredit the victims. It's a pretty unsettling reality that those we think of as decent can also be perpetrators. Even though she didn't name Ashton and Mila, it was super clear that her message was aimed right at them, which led the couple to put out a clarification video just a few months back. Danny's family reached out to us and asked us to write character letters about the person we'd known for 25 years so the judge could take that into account. It's tough to accept that they might still harbor predatory instincts and cause harm, but if we truly care about supporting victims' women, children, men, and boys, we have to face this truth. Ashton and Mila wrote letters to the court asking for a lighter sentence for Masterson, calling him a positive role model who really impacted their lives. Ashton even said that Masterson helped him steer clear of illegal substances during their friendship, while Mila described him as a big brother figure encouraging her to avoid drugs too. They explained that a few months prior, Danny's family had requested these character references, insisting their letters aimed to shine a light on the Danny they had known for over 25 years. Ashton has built a public image as someone who advocates for victims of drug abuse and trafficking. But let's be real, his silence regarding Diddy's troubling allegations and his defense of Masterson raised some serious questions about his true commitment to the cause. They insisted that their intention was never to undermine the victims or cause harm, and they apologized if their actions unintentionally did so. This whole situation creates a sense of betrayal for all the victims who rely on advocates for support, rather than shielding their friends from accountability. And here's the kicker, this isn't Ashton Kutcher's first brush with shady characters. If you think Ashton is still innocent because of the causes he supported years ago, think again. One particularly haunting incident involves the murder of his girlfriend Ashley back in 2001. TikTok has been buzzing about this story, and it's downright unsettling. Do you remember the tragic event when a young Ashton Kutcher got stood up on a date, and the very next morning, that girl was found murdered? You recall how Kanye claimed they couldn't control him because he wasn't always alone? I'm not saying Ashton Kutcher had anything to do with the murder, I'm just suggesting that there may be a lot of secrets in his past. This story is undeniably strange and has remained an unsolved murder case since its inception, but last year, a shocking detail emerged that's simply jaw-dropping. You might find this hard to believe. When Ashton was supposed to pick up Ashley Ellerin for their date in 2001, he inadvertently found himself caught up in a murder investigation. He was hours late, and after knocking on her door and getting no response, he looked through the window and noticed what he thought were wine stains on the carpet. Assuming she had stood him up, he left only to discover the next day that those stains were actually blood. Ashley was tragically found dead inside her apartment by her roommate, raising serious questions about what happened that night. Ashton had contacted Ashley, a fashion student, to confirm their dinner plans the day before they were set to meet. He called her again at 7:30 p.m. They had met at a Christmas party, and their relationship blossomed once he became single. Ashley called him again at 8:24 p.m. to let him know he was running late. Ashton claimed he was at a friend's house watching the Grammy Awards and lost track of time, but when he finally decided to go to Ashley's between 10:30 and midnight, he thought she was just getting ready after a shower, so everything seemed fine. At 10:45 p.m., she had just moved in, and when he peeked through the window, he saw what he assumed was red wine on the carpet. He thought she had thrown a wild housewarming party, but little did he know, the reality was far darker. Her roommate later found Ashley's lifeless, mutilated body inside. At the time of Ashley's tragic murder, Ashton Kutcher was merely a witness, and no one really speculated about him afterward. He knocked on her door but received no response, which struck him as odd, especially since the lights were on and the place looked a bit messy. In 2019, Ashton found himself back in the spotlight when he was called to testify in court about that fateful night during the trial of the Hollywood Ripper. To be clear, Ashton was never charged with anything related to this case, but it's hard not to raise an eyebrow at his alibi of being at a friend's house. He embodied the quintessential American dream boy. The man behind Ashley's murder was later arrested and identified as the Hollywood Ripper, a serial killer with multiple victims. Ashley was brutally stabbed 47 times during a high-profile event like the Grammys, suffering deep wounds to her chest, stomach, neck, and back. When Ashton testified during the trial, he described how, upon hearing the tragic news, he rushed to the police to explain that he had been outside her home. So, the night before, her home was pretty chaotic. He was like, "My fingerprints are on this door." And I was freaking out. He really insisted that he didn't know Michael, the guy who turned out to be the killer, and that Michael had no ties to Ashley. But here's where it gets really unsettling. The lead detective said that, despite how horrific the crime was, there wasn't much evidence to back it up. For instance, there was no blood splatter at the scene, which made Jennifer, Ashley's roommate, think that the murderer must have been someone who knew Ashley since their house was double-gated. Then, when they caught the guy, he claimed he'd never met Ashley. But hold on, there's more. Danny Masterson's accuser mentioned she talked to Ashton over the phone the night Ashley was murdered. Chrissy Bixler, who dated Danny Masterson back in the late 90s and early 2000s, threw a wrench into Ashton's story with a chilling Instagram post aimed at him. She wrote, "Dear Ashton, I know the secret your role model keeps for you ones that will end. Did you forget I was there? You were on speaker when you called Danny on February 21st, 2001. I heard everything. Honestly, I think you're just as sick as your mentor, but that's not all." She's been sharing old videos of Ashton and his wife Mila Kunis, plus some creepy clips of Mila and Danny Masterson. There's one memorable clip from Punked where Ashton introduces a 15-year-old Hillary Duff, saying she's one of the girls we're all waiting to turn 18. Another clip has Ashton and Mila reminiscing about their first kiss on set, but now that memory feels totally different given everything that's resurfaced. You know what's wild? When we started the show, Ashton was 14 and I was about 19. They told us, "You two are going to be making out in this scene," and I thought, this is kind of illegal. Is this really your first kiss? It was my first kiss. I bet you Danny made a wager about it. No, it wasn't the first kiss. It was like the second or third, but it felt like the first. These videos have got fans calling for Ashton to be cancelled. A friend of Chrissy Bixler, Aaron Smith, recently posted a video on YouTube sharing his concerns about Ashton's actions on the night of the murder on February 21st, 2001. According to Aaron, Ashton walked into the house and found Ashley Ellerin on the floor, surrounded by blood. Instead of calling the police, he claims Ashton just sat in his car for an hour, panicking and making calls. Aaron also said Ashley's team pushed him to go to the party he was supposed to take Ashley to, which raises more questions about what they were doing. He insists that Ashton couldn't have seen the red wine stains on the carpet from outside because it was too dark. Reports say his team advised him to keep the police out of it to avoid any connection to the murder, worried it might ruin his rising star from that 70s show. But wait, there's more. There's a lot of shady stuff about Ashton that might have slipped by during a 2002 interview with Rosie O'Donnell. If these allegations are true, it seems Ashton might have misled the authorities, possibly slowing down the investigation and letting the real culprit, Michael, stay free longer. This really makes you think about how differently things could have gone if Ashton had acted differently that night. Now, here's something interesting. When she was just 14, Ashton Kutcher, then 19, was challenged by Danny Masterson to give her a $10 French kiss on the set of that 70s show. Mila remembered feeling super anxious about it and talked about the bet she made with Danny regarding their first kiss. No, it wasn't the first kiss, but it was more like the second or third. It was during the first week. Let me tell you what happened. I had never kissed a guy. There's even a video of Mila sitting on Ashton's lap. The reason I'm bringing this up isn't because I think that's cool. It's because Joe told her to sit on his lap when she was still a minor and Ash was already an adult. This definitely raised eyebrows and got everyone talking. One person even commented, "Isn't she 14 here and he's like 20? Why is she sitting on his lap?" It's weird because they shared their first kiss when she was 14 and he was 20. Yeah, she lied about her age, but once she was hired, she came clean. They still brought her on and made her kiss a 20-year-old, which was super awkward and strange. Another person pointed out that Ashton was being predatory for going after a minor and waiting for her to turn 18. This is exactly why Christina Ricci decided to come forward. Christina has been around the business for quite a while. Even before Ashton got famous, she actually started her acting career much earlier, making her screen debut in the 1990 film Mermaids at just 9 years old. Christina Rhodes kicked off her acting journey in 1998, really capturing people's attention with her memorable role as Michael Kello in that '70s show. From the start, it was clear she had a unique talent and impressive range that would carry her throughout her career. Over the years, she has become a household name, especially recognized for her outstanding performances in iconic films like the Addams Family series and the critically acclaimed drama The Ice Storm 1997. Her ability to shift between comedic and dramatic roles showcases her versatility as an actress, which has won her fans and respect from critics alike. One of those standout moments in Christina Rhodes' career has to be her role in Monster 2003. She really brought Aileen Wuornos, a real-life serial killer, to life in such a gripping way. People were seriously impressed, saying she added so much depth and nuance to this complicated character. It's a shame, though, that some critics felt her performance didn't get the recognition it deserved, overshadowed by the bigger stars in the film. But even with that, Rhodes' talent truly stood out, and you can see her dedication left a lasting impression on the film industry. And let's not forget that Rhodes is more than just a fantastic actress, she's a passionate advocate for several social causes. She uses her platform to shine a light on important issues like women's rights, mental health, and the Me Too movement. It's pretty inspiring how she's not afraid to speak out against injustices, making sure those who might not have a voice are heard. This commitment really shows she's not just about acting, she genuinely cares about making a positive impact in the world. Recently, Rhodes stirred up some conversation again when she weighed in on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. Her reaction kind of echoed her thoughts during the Danny Masterson controversy, where she questioned whether public figures truly support the social issues they claim to care about. In her typical straightforward style, Rhodes pointed out how there's often a gap between how celebrities present themselves and their actual actions. We don't really know what these celebrities do behind the scenes, she said, urging everyone to think critically about the narratives these famous folks create. It's true sometimes what they say in public doesn't match what they really do. Rhodes' thoughts really hit home, especially in a culture where image often takes precedence over integrity. She's challenging fans to dig deeper and consider the complexities behind fame. By holding celebrities accountable, she's advocating for a more genuine approach to activism, one that goes beyond just saying the right things. With everything happening in today's media landscape, where the shine of fame can easily overshadow real efforts to create change, her call for transparency feels more relevant than ever. Christina has really carved out a unique space in Hollywood, balancing her roles as a talented actress and a fierce social justice advocate. It says a lot about her character and her drive to use her influence for good. As she continues to grow in her career, Rhodes is a strong voice in the conversation about celebrity accountability and the need for authenticity in activism. Every role she takes on and every cause she supports reinforces the idea that real impact comes from actions, not just appearances. In a time when the line between public persona and personal integrity seems to blur more and more, Christina Rhodes reminds us that true advocacy requires more than just a public statement. It involves facing uncomfortable truths and being accountable. As she moves forward in both her acting and activism, we can all look forward to seeing how this remarkable artist challenges the status quo. Speaking of challenges, Diddy is currently dealing with some serious legal troubles in federal custody in Brooklyn, New York, after pleading not guilty to charges of racketeering and other serious allegations. Legal experts believe these civil lawsuits could really complicate things for him in his criminal case. His company, Diddy Combs, is also facing major issues. 6 new accusers have stepped forward, claiming they experienced various forms of mistreatment. Shockingly, some of these accusations involve individuals who say they were minors when they were allegedly exploited by Diddy. The youngest victim reportedly claims to be just 9 years old. These accusations mark the start of a wave from 120 alleged victims, as revealed by Texas-based attorney Tony Busby earlier this month. While discussing these allegations, it's worth noting that Ashton Kutcher has been mentioned as one of the celebrities who allegedly helped hide Diddy's questionable activities. Although not all defendants are named in the lawsuits, some reports suggest other well-known individuals are involved. Attorney Ariel Mitchell, who represents one of Diddy's accusers, has made some jaw-dropping claims about having 3 separate tapes featuring different celebrities, including Diddy, plus a fourth showing another star in a compromising situation. During an interview with Laura Engel on News Nation Banfield, Mitchell shared that she had been contacted by people claiming to have these tapes. She mentioned that one of the tapes was filmed at one of Diddy's properties, while the others allegedly feature A-list stars.